SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey. From personal banking to growing your business or buying a home, our expert guidance makes it simple. We're more than a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21.
Hey, good morning. Welcome in to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Thanks for joining us, for starting your day with us on this Monday. We are into the month of June. Today is June the 1st. How is it that 5 months in 2026 are already gone? I don't know. You blink and it feels like, whoo, we have covered some ground. Glad to be with you. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Got a lot to get to. A lot of winning to talk about this morning from a bunch of different places in the state of Mississippi. Mornings is presented every day by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. The C Spire text line is open to you at 601-879-4395. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Thanks for joining us, Lance. Good morning to you.
Good morning, RC. I mean, you talk about being this deep in the year. It's obviously not because we're bored. Maybe there's been a few things going on, and half the year's behind us. It's kind of hard to believe, isn't it?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I think I've told you this before, and I don't know if you operate this way. I think because of where I live, because I live in a college town, I measure almost everything on an academic calendar,
right,
as opposed to a January to December calendar. So it's like we've gone through an entire school year, but then I'm like, well, hold on. It's June 1st. How is it already June 1st? But then I think back, well, what happened in January? And I'm like, okay, that's when Ole Miss made a run in the college football playoff. That feels like forever ago.
Golly, I had to watch I think the new season or something was out the other day, and I was like, man, I'm going to watch this just to try to put into perspective what has already happened that I don't remember anymore.
Yeah.
And watching all that, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember all that happening, but it was definitely not fresh on the brain 6 months later. So, yeah, watching Trinidad scramble around and sling it all over the place, I was, oh yeah, that brings back good memories.
Well,
it was like a forever ago.
You're going to get to watch that again this year, so that could be a lot of fun. I'm in College Station again today.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to have to pay some. Some taxes in Texas.
I'm sure
they don't have state income tax here, do they?
No.
Oh, sweet.
And you saw where Florida's trying to get rid of property taxes.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting, man. Like, man, they must be rolling in the dough.
I think that's going to be as we go toward a political season in Mississippi over the next year and a half, I think that's going to be a topic that comes up some in our home state as well. Problem is, at some point, you have to have revenue, and if you eliminate all your revenue streams, you've either got to create new revenue to replace it, or you're just moving the block of cheese around somewhere else.
Coca-Cola is $22.50.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. What about the weather today? Senatobia, you're going to be in the mid-80s today for your high, with an overnight low in the mid-60s. Mostly partly cloudy. Have some sunshine mixed in. Isolated chance of thunderstorms, thunder showers throughout the day. Going to be warm and humid. That's going to be the case for most of the state of Mississippi. Columbus, 88 for your high today, 68 the overnight low, partly cloudy with a chance of scattered thunderstorms. Vicksburg going to be in the low 90s for you. The overnight low in Vicksburg, about 74. Partly cloudy, chance of thunderstorms. Hot, humid, that typical early June pattern of weather in the southwestern part of the state of Mississippi. And what about our friends in Van Cleve? 92 for the high, 74 overnight tonight for your low. Mix of sun and clouds, chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon in the neighborhood of, 30, 40%. Hot and humid for you. That is the weather pattern as we arrive for the month of June. Hot, humid, chance of storms. And then we're going to get a little bit later into June, closer to July, and then it's just going to be hot and humid. The chance of the thunderstorm seems to go away as the air gets a little drier, and welcome to summer in Mississippi.
Yeah, breathing fire, basically.
Yeah. 20 days until the official start of summer? Or is it 19?
Really?
June 20th?
I guess, man. 92 degrees and humidity feels like summer to me. I don't care what the calendar says, but it felt like summer the last few days.
Yeah, we had a pretty good spring this year.
Yeah, definitely. Winter wasn't too bad. Spring was nice, good and wet. Everything's green. But it is humid. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Dana Carvey was born on this day in 1955. He is 71 years old today, the American comedian and actor, best known for his work on Saturday Night Live. He did the impersonations of George H.W. Bush, and of course, from the movie Wayne's World, Dana Carvey played Garth. How many times did you see Wayne's World?
Many, many times. And I always loved we're here to pump you up. And you had, was it him and Kevin Nealon were doing the steroid guys? That was pretty funny too, man.
Oh, so that's Saturday? Is that Saturday Night Live or Wayne's World?
No, that was Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I was a big Dana Carvey fan. Saying that he's 70 plus, man, that makes me feel old. Goodness gracious!
Wayne's World, party time, excellent,
excellent. Yeah. Garth,
it was crazy.
Garth,
That was early 90s when Wayne's World came out. And that was the movie that kind of created a renaissance for the song Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, 92 was Wayne's World 1, and then there was another one right after it, wasn't there? Like 93 or 94 was Wayne's World 2. Tia Carrere in there. But, yeah, the Bohemian Rhapsody.
Less critically acclaimed the second round.
Yeah, definitely. The do-over wasn't quite as good. But, yeah, number one, that was an excellent film as far as comedic goes. Mike Myers in there. Yeah, good stuff, man. I mean, I got to go back and watch some of the Dana Carvey impersonations. The George Bush ones were great.
Wayne Brady, born on this day in 1972, the actor, comedian, singer, and prominent member of the television show Whose Line Is It Anyway? You remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's got an island, too.
It's pretty popular for a while.
Has
an island?
Yeah, I was watching something the other day, and it was like they were going through all the actors that had islands, and there was a bunch of them, and he was one of them I thought that was on there. And I think Tyler Perry may as well, and a bunch of island owners.
Wayne Brady, game show host as well.
Bank maker, yeah, that dude prints money.
Yeah. Zachary Quintos, born in 1977. I have no idea who this is, but I feel like I always am supposed to include it when there's a reference to Spock. He was known for playing Spock in the Star Trek reboot films.
He looks kind of like Nimoy. I mean, he does a great job pulling that off.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll trust you on that.
Yeah.
Edward Elgar, born in 1857, the English composer best known for the Enigma variations and Pomp and Circumstance marches.
Nice.
That's the only reason I include that in there, because we've all heard Pomp and Circumstance a million times. If you ever wondered who the composer was on that, now you know. Edward Elgar. That's the one where the graduates walk down the aisle. Yeah, there you go. Johnny Weissmuller, an Olympic swimmer, 5-time gold medalist, was born in 1904. As incredible as accomplishment as being a 5-time gold medalist is, he portrayed Tarzan.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal, too. Back in those days. I mean, Tarzan was, the most fit man on the planet. And Johnny Weissmuller, right. I think he fit that bill, man. He just looked it.
That's fair. Kind of light on the birthdays today, if we're being honest. Not a bunch that just grab you and you're like, man, I can't believe. But you know what? The stuff that has happened on this day, June 2nd, in history.
Hey, don't forget about Morgan Freeman today, though.
Morgan Freeman today?
Yeah, that's what it says. Morgan Freeman's birthday today. Born in Memphis, Tennessee, and then you had Marilyn Monroe as well, I believe. 1937 for Morgan and Marilyn.
No way.
Yeah, man. I'm looking at June 1st, right?
You know what? It's June 1st, you're right.
I saw in your notes it said June 2nd, so I didn't want to interrupt.
I wish you had.
I just noticed it a second ago. You were rolling, man.
We're going to do the old swap-a-roo game then. I know what it was. I know it's happened before.
It's wishful thinking.
No, I always, when I look at the calendar, I use the next day, but it was after midnight last night when I was putting the list together, and so I used the next day, June 2nd, when in truth it's June 1st today. Well, guess what? Those birthdays, that horrible list of birthdays, was for tomorrow. So tomorrow, we're going to go backwards a day. We're going to give you the great list of birthdays from today, including Morgan Freeman and Marilyn Monroe. I don't know. What? Forgive me.
Hey, it was a late night, man. 14-3.
It was. Mornings with Richard Cross. We're back with you right after this.
From the Venable
Mornings with Richard Cross.
On with the show.
Is back. Holy smokes. On Super Talk, Mississippi.
Yeah, my apologies for the cream-colored background if you're watching on SuperTalk TV with these kind of fruity curtains. The lighting is not exact. I brought light with me, but it's not exactly how it is supposed to be.
Man, you had to move in.
Yeah, it feels like it. I was kind of looking last night. I was like, I'm running a little short on laundry here. It is time to go home. A reboot on the things that happened on this day, Lance, because those are also from June 2nd. But quick work, and I can tell you that on this day in 794, Charlemagne opens the Council of Frankfurt, a significant synod in the Holy Roman Empire.
I'm not sure.
Charlemagne was...
He was a dude.
Yeah. Genghis Khan's Mongol forces sacked Peking, that's modern-day Beijing, looting the city for a month. Hard to imagine forces looting Beijing for a month in the time in which we exist now, at least not successfully. Anne Boleyn is crowned Queen of England as Henry VIII's second wife today in 1533. In 1792, Kentucky became the 15th state of the United States. In 1796, 4 years later, Tennessee became the 16th state of the United States. British explorer James Clark Ross located the North Magnetic Pole in 1831. You think he did that with the little magnetic shavings and a piece of metal? Like you kind of could push those around like the science experiment?
Oh, he probably like Crocodile Dundee did. Just looked up at the sun. It's like, I'm here. I've got it, man.
Not discovering the North Pole, but the magnetic North Pole.
I wonder how accurate those things are, but I'm sure that the instruments they use today kind of pinpoint it down to exactly where it is. But you have to think like some of the early instruments might not have been exactly like tuned up to it, or even not really knowing that the pole shifts a bit. Like it was there last year, and maybe it's not this year.
I think we had this finished the recording last week. 1967 was when the Beatles officially released their groundbreaking album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Good stuff. Long name for an album, though. I'm sure they were like, their producers like, no, we've got to shorten this up, man. You're not going to sell anything with that.
You would think, now, their response would be hide and watch, and that would have been the correct response, but they could have probably just gone with Sgt. Pepper's and been just fine, don't you think?
Yeah. I loved it when, just some of their music is so out there for the time, too. They just bring so many different things into it. I can imagine whoever was putting all that together was just like, either this is going to be amazing or this is going to be a flop, one or the other. It went obviously up the mountain, but.
Yeah, they were in that stage where if they put it out, it was going to be a hit. And everybody was just like, oh, that's cutting edge. Not like, oh, that's terrible.
You listen to some of it nowadays, it's so out of tune. But that's the fingerprint of it. It makes it interesting.
1974, the Heimlich maneuver was first published. That saved a lot of lives through the years.
Saved mine. I've had it done to me.
Have you?
Yeah, man. I ate like a big Shackley vitamin one day and got stuck on my goozle. Had to walk a couple of houses down and knock on the door. Thank God somebody was there. And
a vitamin?
Yeah.
Just like a big pill?
Yeah, big horse vitamin type thing. It was years ago, probably in my 20s. And I knocked on the door, and a gentleman came to the door, and he's like, hey, what's up, man? And I couldn't talk, and I had did the international sign for I'm choking. And he goes, oh, God, what do I do? I said, do the Heimlich. He's like, I don't know how to do it. I said, I'll show you.
Give me a big hug.
Yeah, I said, he bear hugged me, man, and he did. It works. Trust me. Thank goodness.
CNN launched the first ever 24-hour cable news network with the voice of James Earl Jones. This is CNN.
If you look back on that, do you think that
it was revolutionary?
Yeah, but if we look back on it and to where we are today with that news cycle, the same thing where there is no break. It is 24/7. Before that, there was a little bit of a breather. Now it's just on replay constantly. Do you think that's a good thing, or do you appreciate kind of the old school broadcasting where dude got to take a break, went home for a little bit, came back? What do you think?
I mean, it wasn't the same person for 24 hours nonstop.
But they actually, most of your news came from a network, right? You had NewsHour and yeah. It's interesting.
I think CNN in the way that it was initially available to us was incredible.
Yeah, they covered the Gulf War. It's just on boots on the ground. You saw everything.
Yes, the sat phones and in the. Have you ever been to CNN Center Atlanta? They've got that Humvee. Right. That they use. It's kind of on display out there in the food court, or at least it was. They may have remodeled some along the way.
Wasn't Wolf Blitzer like one of the big names, like when it first came in and once the war reporting came?
You know the name that I remember more than any?
And Peter Arnett. But who's that?
Nope. You're going to laugh when I say this, because it was, I think, on the 12s when they did the sports update. That's always what I was... Jerome Jurinovich, headline news.
Yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah, man.
Yes.
Jerome Jurinovich.
Yeah.
I just invented that name, That's a great stage name. There's no way that was real, huh?
Yeah, I think it was real.
Yeah, I know, but that's just perfect. You got to be in broadcasting with a name like that.
All right, we'll give you some news as well. We start with a Hinds County detainee who is back in custody. Latoria Sample, who also goes by the name Shantarika Donaldson, was being transported to the Raymond Detention Center on Friday morning when she escaped a deputy's vehicle near Highway 18 and TV Road in Jackson. Less than an hour later, she was found inside a vehicle at the nearby Woodlands Apartments. Sample was arrested on May 15th and charged with receiving stolen property and business burglary. And now she will face additional charges in connection with the escape. She does not look like she's in a great state of mind in the arrest picture that we have with the Hinds County Sheriff's Office deputies.
Yeah, you're also known as... you got two names. There's probably some nefarious things going on.
Yeah. Do you think she came up with her alias, or somebody else assigned that to her? Or
that's a great question.
Wonder where that originated.
Shantarika Donaldson. That sounds like I don't know. Maybe she just invented it. I'm just saying maybe she just invented it. That's a tough one to just pick out of the book or something.
Yeah. A former Mississippi policeman involved in a major drug trafficking bribery scheme that ensnared 20 individuals, including 2 sheriffs, has been sentenced to prison time. Ex-Greenwood police officer Jamario Sanford, 38 years old, will spend 7.5 years in federal prison after pleading guilty to conspiring to aid and abet the possession of transportation and distribution of illegal narcotics, as well as attempting to do the same. In addition to his time behind bars, Sanford will serve 3 years of supervised release. He was arrested in October 2025 and indicted for providing an armed transport of what he believed to be a large quantity of cocaine through multiple Mississippi Delta counties for nearly $13,000 in bribes. The money came from an FBI informant posing as a member of a Mexican drug cartel. Said to have worked alongside then Greenwood police colleague Taquana Rucker, along with Sunflower County Deputy Marvin Flowers, in moving the cocaine through the Delta for bribery payments in 2022. I feel like we get another layer of this story. Maybe there were just so many people involved. We had the, was it a mistrial or was it not guilty verdict with one tentacle of this? It was one of the accused that kind of fought back and lawyered up and really pushed back. And I think we kind of came to the conclusion that the not guilty verdict had less to do with whether or not the crime actually committed and more to do with whether or not all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed. In fact, I think we had somebody within the judicial community that sent us some confirmation that was absolutely the case. So,
yeah, as Rick James said, cocaine is a very powerful drug.
Yeah.
That's a mess, too. I mean, this whole thing, good Lord.
News out of Oxford. Bradley Robertson retiring from his role within the Oxford School District. That announcement from the Oxford School District Board of Trustees came out on Friday. 25 years with the A-rated district, where he served in roles as teacher, coach, assistant principal, director of curriculum, assistant superintendent, and in the last several years as superintendent. He was named a finalist for the National Superintendent of the Year Award from the National Association of School Superintendents. School board in Oxford says that they will appoint an interim superintendent as they begin a search to replace Bradley Robertson. Personally, I hate this, but I'm happy for him. Hope he enjoys retirement, although I don't think he'll completely shut it down. Back with you after this.
From the Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams, whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business. We're here every step of the way, dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Thanks for being with us this morning. We have a metric ton of sports news, and I will give you just a small heads up. In the interest of being topical, we will spend a little bit of time in the 7 o'clock hour talking about some of the baseball from this weekend. Give you some of the headlines right now, though. Pearl River Community College, Titletown. Poplarville is Titletown for JUCO baseball and softball. Claiming national championships in both sports this year, the Wildcats secured the program's first softball title 5 days ago. And then the baseball team added to the trophy case with its second championship in the last 4 years. Pearl River left-hander Ethan Gardner sealed Saturday's win in dramatic fashion with a walk-off RBI single, his first hit of the game, that scored Madison native Jackson Estes in the bottom of the 11th. How about that, Lance?
Oh, that's how it's done right there, man.
2 in 4 years. That's so good.
Isn't it?
So good. Do you have the William Carey results pulled up?
Oh, I can get it in 2
that
seconds.
Final
right
yet?
Yeah, let me just refresh because all my stuff's open from Saturday. 2 seconds.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
We've been keeping an eye on that World Series run out in Idaho for William Carey.
Yeah. Picturesque and baseball, Lost that one on Friday, 16-14 in an epic battle against Tennessee Wesleyan University.
And that was into the road.
I believe so, yes, sir. They had lost the 2 in a row there. Taylor University, who they had beat early in the series 7-4, they lost 4-7.
That was their first opponent. They played Taylor.
Yeah, and then they
in
had
the very first game.
Then they won 6-5 over Mid-American Christian, 17-7 over Southeastern. Then they played Taylor again, who beat them 4-7 after they'd beaten them 7-4. Then they had Tennessee Wesleyan on Friday, and that was a 16-14 marathon, full 9-inning game there.
There you go. Heck of a run.
Yes,
for Taylor University, by the way, just a little nugget. If you've ever seen this, kind of at the beginning of basketball season, they play the Silent Night game.
What's that?
The gym is completely packed house. Every student in the school, locals go to there, and they sit silently until Taylor makes its first basket of the game.
Oh, okay.
And then when they do, it turns into like a rave. And it's just like max volume for the entirety of the game. You should check out a video.
I'm going to have to do that.
Of the Taylor University Silent Night game.
Upland, Indiana, private university. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it says. Top Christian liberal arts university, and also the Silent Night game. Is it every game they do that, or just the opening?
No.
Just the first.
I think it's first game of the year, or a designated game early in the year.
Really cool.
Like the officials know about it too. They stop the game because all of the students rush onto the floor and they jump around, and it turns into like a crazy scene.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Been around for a while. 1846 founded, they say. One of the oldest evangelical.
The school, not the game.
No, yeah. I don't know when basketball was invented. A while back.
Check in with Dr. James Naismith.
Yeah, Naismith figured that one out.
All right, what about baseball from the weekend? Shall we start in Starkville?
Yeah, definitely.
Boy, the Diamond Dogs, as Mississippi State fans sometimes call them, got out the whooping stick this weekend. I mean, and it was really two-sided, right? So offensively, double-digit runs in all 3 games they played. I think first time that they have scored in double-digit runs in all 3 regional games, or the first time in a really long time that they have done that. They swept through it in 3 games, but then on the mound, just outstanding. Duke Stone in Game 1, Tomas Valinkas in Game 2. They go to Ryan McPherson in yesterday's ball game, and really in all 3, they're kind of able to push out a lead and then maybe give up a little bit late in the ball game. But finished with 19 runs,
39 in 3 games.
Man,
that's a whooping right there.
It was incredible. And the scenes from Starkville looked great. I have to admit to you, it's been a little harder for me to watch intently the stuff that was happening in Starkville or stuff that was happening in Lincoln, because I was in the middle of calling games too. But, just trying to keep up with all of it. The pictures online, what a great atmosphere, what a great environment this weekend in Starkville. Over 30,000 in attendance for the 3 games that Mississippi State played in. And now a trip to Athens on the horizon, as you will have Battle of the Dogs 5, Battle of the Dogs 6, and potentially Battle of the Dogs 7.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia sweeping Mississippi State in the regular season, beating them in the SEC tournament. You know what they say, though, Lance? It's hard to beat a team 5 and 6 times in a year. It
is. Well, I mean, Georgia scored 10, 3, and 8. So, I mean, State did a good job of limiting that amazing offense of Georgia. And they put up some runs, too, so this ought to be a nice little repeat, run it back again. I wish it were in Starkville, but
Ooh.
Yeah, man, that'd be nice.
Although it didn't go so well in Starkville the first time around, so maybe change of scenery will be good for them.
Thinking the same thing.
So Ole Miss began its regional run in Lincoln, Nebraska. Tip of the cap to the folks at the Nebraska games as well. That was a good environment at Haymarket Park.
They were loud.
Ole Miss needed 14 innings in its opening NCAA regional game against Nebraska before squeezing one out. And you're like, man, what did that do to your pitching? How are you going to be able to recover? Going to be tired. And Mike Bianco kind of brushed all that to the side and said, we're going to go back and rest. We're going to be tough. And then we're going to play again. And the second opponent was Nebraska, and you got that raucous environment on Saturday night in Lincoln. It was loud. If you were watching, they had the pitch-com issue where Taylor Rabe couldn't hear. It was so loud in the stadium, and he and Austin Foley just very patiently kept calling timeout and going, hey, we're having an issue. It wasn't that it wasn't working. It was just that they couldn't hear, but they were able to get that going and came up with a big couple of strikeouts late, and Ole Miss able to get it done against Nebraska, but not on Saturday night. No, headed to the ninth inning with Ole Miss as the visiting team. The rains came, and the rains brought lightning with them, and they pulled the tarp, and they waited and waited and waited and waited, and finally said, we're not going to be able to do this tonight. And so they had to come back yesterday morning and get all geared up to play one inning. And Ole Miss got a leadoff walk, but then they struck out 3 times. And so it was Nebraska's turn, and they got a couple of guys on and then hit into a double play and got another guy on, but then a ground out to end it. So Ole Miss got to 2-0, which is the absolute catbird seat. Teams that go 2-0 in their regional advance to a super regional 82% of the time. It was not easy last night as Ole Miss had a rematch with Arizona State, who eliminated Nebraska, the host, in an elimination game yesterday. And the Rebels win in extra innings last night. Dom Decker with a sacrifice fly to drive in the winning run. And Ole Miss is headed to a super regional.
Well, you got to tip your cap to Hudson Calhoun, too. Wow.
Ooh, yeah.
Friday night, then coming back yesterday morning, finishing that baby off after 2 guys get on, gets the double play. Man, it couldn't have been any more pressure-packed. I will say this, though. It worked out very well for Ole Miss, though, to come back yesterday morning, because that crowd, as you were saying, was ruckus on Saturday night.
And that crowd yesterday morning is pretty small.
Yeah, there wasn't many there. It was a perfect timing for Ole Miss to sneak that one out and get ready for another ball game, that Arizona State one. But I mean, you think number 22 and number 20 Nebraska, then Ole Miss, whatever they were ranked, that was a pretty tough regional to come through.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. It was the most competitive. It was a far more competitive regional than the one I've witnessed, at least in terms of scores. A lot of close games and a lot of drama there. So Ole Miss will go to a super regional either at Auburn, or they will be hosting that. Auburn playing an if necessary Game 7 this evening. We'll talk more about Southern Miss and Hattiesburg coming up in just a minute, but first I'll remind you that this sports update is brought to you by Pearl River Resort, online at pearlriverresort.com. Pearl River Resort is your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. Find them online at pearlriverresort.com. Visit them in person. Geyser Falls Water Park is now open for the summer. So is Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. 2 18-hole championship courses, the Oaks and the Azaleas. You can book your tee time online at dancingrabbitgolf.com. We'll get your Mississippi Lottery update, then we'll talk a little bit about the Hattiesburg Regional when we come back. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
With Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi. Time for your Mississippi Lottery update, brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery, online at mslottery.com. Be sure to download the Mississippi Lottery app. You have a Powerball drawing coming up tonight. Powerball, there was no jackpot winner over the weekend, so it's up to $180 million. And then you've got Mega Millions coming your way. No, that's right. Mega Millions coming your way tomorrow night. That one's now up around $350 million with an estimated cash value a little over $160. So big jackpots on the big prizes. Last week, the lottery claims office paid out a little over $1 million, $1,035,584 to be exact, while lottery retailers across the state of Mississippi cashed over $4.5 million worth of tickets at their local locations. A Buckatona woman, that's the name of the town. I'm not describing the woman that way. Won a top prize of $20,000 on a ticket from Buckatona Grocery. You know where Buckatona Grocery is?
Not really, no. But
Buckatona.
Yeah, it's in Buckatona.
Players from Oxford, Pearl, and Irvington, Alabama each won $2,000 on tickets from the Brittany store in Oxford, Fuel Time 8 in Pearl, and Brown's Corner store in Moss Point. I bought tickets from the Brittany store before, but I didn't, get a $20 50X winner ticket. And then how about the Pass Christian man who won a $50,000 prize on a $20 colossal cash winner? Congrats to all of the winners. That update brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery. All right, we talked a little about Starkville. We talked a little about Oxford. Need to talk, Oxford being Ole Miss on the road, not hosting in Lincoln. Talk a little about Southern Miss as well. They were the number 9 national seed. There was some disappointment about Southern Miss not being a top 8, one of those protected seeds that would guarantee they host a super regional as well. The Hattiesburg Regional was paired with the Gainesville Regional, and it did not go well for Southern Miss. They were matched up with Little Rock, the 4 seed in the regional, and lost the opening round game. They were one of 4 hosts, national seeds, to lose their opening round game in this year's Field of 64. But then they followed it up with a game against Virginia. I mean, based on the score, pretty wildly entertaining, back and forth. In fact, it went to extra innings, and in the 10th inning, top of the 10th, Virginia put 4 runs on the board, and they won it 15-11. And just like that, the season came to an end. And it's disappointing, Lance, not just because you go 0-2 in the regional, but it's like such a long season. You have to work so hard to get that opportunity, and you build the schedule in a way that your RPI is going to coincide with. It's not just wins, not just hollow wins throughout the course of the year. And you win a conference regular season title, and you win a conference tournament championship, and you get to a point where it's like, yes, everything is right there for you. And then you just kind of lay an egg.
Yeah, and then you watch the 4 seed advance, and that's even worse. UALR, though, I mean, they came in ready to play. And then also that Jacksonville State team, as we had discussed, really good baseball team, man.
Yeah. So Little Rock defeats Jacksonville State last night, and it is Little Rock that is advancing out of the Hattiesburg Regional. And presumably,
you never know here, yeah.
Presumably, because you had Troy beat Florida last night to force a Game 7 today in Gainesville. And if, I don't know who of those would host, probably Troy, if they were to beat Florida again today. We'll see. Here's I'll give you the schedule of games today. So you've got 5 sites that are definitely going to a 7th game, and one that could end up there as well. You know where they're not going to a Game 7? Los Angeles, California, the number 1 overall seed, UCLA, got bounced. They lost to St. Mary's, then they lost to St. Mary's again yesterday in an elimination game, and then Cal Poly swept through that in 3 games to win the Los Angeles Regional. So you have a Game 7 today in... Oh, I've got the wrong chart pulled up. Sorry. Here it is. They looked just the same when they were really small. Game 7 in Atlanta, Georgia Tech and Oklahoma, winner take all. Game 7 on the Plains, Auburn and Milwaukee. If Milwaukee wins that, Ole Miss will host the Super Regional. Game 7 in Gainesville, Troy and Florida. That's at 5 o'clock. Florida State, they are potentially going to play 2 today. They got knocked back a day because of weather. USC and Texas A&M tonight at 8 o'clock. And Kentucky, West Virginia. Man, the scene in Morgantown was awesome.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Let's go. Waking up the Magnolia State. Mornings with Richard Cross.
That's what it's here for.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi as we roll in the 7 o'clock hour. Again, good morning to you. Thanks for being with us and for making us part of your routine. A routine that's probably a little bit different now that we're into the month of June, and most everybody, I guess everybody's kids are out of school in Mississippi. Varying summer vacation lengths. You've got some schools that are on a year-round schedule. I probably should go back and say most everybody. I think some of the schools that still have a year-round schedule maybe have one last week of school, and then they'll get 5 or 6 weeks off before they go back in late July. Most of the schools still won't go back until early August, but you're adjusting to whatever that summertime routine is now. And how long does it take, Lance? About a week before the first time you have a kid go, I'm bored.
Yeah. Doesn't take long, huh?
No,
if you got that driver's license now, it changes everything a little bit. But.
Yeah, well, we got one of them in our house, so
the others will be like, "Oh, we're so bored."
Yeah,
you go, "Hey, you got a sibling that can drive.
Go outside and find something to do. Find a friend." But yeah, friends kind of scatter a little bit, and it sometimes it makes it a little bit tough. Mornings is brought to you by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey. Looking to manage your personal finances? Our banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. Ready to grow your business? We offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Dreaming of a new home? Our mortgage specialists are here to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. We're more than just a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. The C Spire text line is open to you at 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. CC in Senatobia said, UCLA said, let's win every single game during the season and then get into our own regional and see how bad we can stink.
Yeah.
They didn't play very well. They had some injuries. There were some excuses about how many close games they had played, and they just couldn't get it done. It looked like they were going to go 2-0 in their regional, but they had kind of a miraculous comeback on Saturday against St. Mary's where they hit 2 home runs, back-to-back home runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to tie the game. And then they were able to kind of piece together a little rally and get the winning run. So they prolonged the misery for a day, but went down yesterday. The number 1 overall seed since the tournament, the NCAA baseball tournament, went to its current format in 1999. Do you know how many times the number 1 overall seed has won it?
Once.
Twice. The very first year of the new format, Miami won it. That was in 1999. And then it wasn't until 2024 that historically good Tennessee team rolled through and won the College World Series.
I'm going to tell you, buddy, before 99, it was hard to get to a regional.
Ooh.
We went at Auburn, went to the World Series my freshman year, tried to get back to a regional the next 3 years, but it was very difficult, And then the old regional format was just a bloodbath.
There were 48 teams before they went to 64, and you had 8 6-team regional sites. And it was a grind. It was a grind. I remember the 1995 regional that Ole Miss played in. It was in Tallahassee.
Mm-hmm. Jamie Price, right?
Yeah, Rebels lost the first game to Old Dominion and then fought their way through the losers bracket. And they got to Sunday, and they were going to have to beat Florida State twice. And Jamie Price came back and pitched well in that game, but they just ran out of arms on that one.
Yeah, and you got to remember back then there was 11.7 Schollies, not a lot of extra resources to go around back in those days, so you didn't have a lot of arms sitting over there on the bench. You had to – guys like Jamie Price were known for getting deep into games.
Larry and Mize says, what are the odds of Mississippi State and Virginia playing this year? I said 0%. He said even if they both make the College World Series. Well, it's going to take some sort of a miracle because Virginia has already been eliminated. They were in that Hattiesburg regional, and they got bounced by Jacksonville State. And after they beat Southern Miss in the elimination game, got beat by Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State and Little Rock played in the regional final in Hattiesburg yesterday, and it was Little Rock advancing. So Little Rock's going to play either Troy or Florida, depending on the outcome of that Game 7.
Hey, and Jacob Parker, didn't he get the regional MVP in Starkville?
He did.
Freshman.
Most outstanding player.
He's got a howitzer for a bat. Man,
what a freshman year. I had a really good conversation with Brian O'Connor about Jacob Parker when we did TV broadcast for the Ole Miss Mississippi State series in Oxford. And he said in the fall, man, he was so incredibly raw. Didn't think that they were, at that point, going to be able to play him, but they made some adjustments to his swing. And it said they recognized that, I mean, the raw power was there. But they didn't know where they were going to put him because sticking him in the outfield, he looked like he was just lost out there. Couldn't read the ball off the bat, wasn't getting good jumps. Really committed, though, and got more and more comfortable. He's played a good right field this year for Mississippi State. And offensively, he has been special. Gotten a lot better. They made some changes to his swing, and he was kind of lunging and everything, getting out in front.
Yeah, front foot guy.
But made some minor adjustments to his swing, and he bought in completely to it. And it was just incredible to watch the season. Freshman All-SEC and now most outstanding player of the Starkville Regional. And this Mississippi State offense has been capable all year. They've had some moments where they've kind of gone into the tank and have not necessarily swung it as well, especially when they've run into some better pitchers. But, man, they are clicking on all cylinders right now. And the Bulldogs, I would think they've got to feel good about going into Athens. I know they've lost to Georgia 4 times already this year, and Georgia won the regular season, and they won the tournament championship as well. But with the combination of Valinkas, with Ryan McPherson being back, with what Duke Stone has been able to give you, I think you like your chances for Mississippi State, and you got a bonus that the second best player on Georgia's team is not going to be available for the first game, not because of injury, but because of an ejection. Trey Phelps yesterday hit a 2-run home run to put Georgia ahead 2-1, and he was ejected for kind of talking to the Liberty dugout and saying something to each of the players, took his time going around the bases, and they threw him out of the game for unsportsmanlike conduct, and that carries a mandatory following game suspension as well. So if Georgia had gone to an if-necessary game today, he would have been without them. But because they won that game yesterday, he's going to miss the first game of the Super Regional. Mm-hmm. And so not having that bat in the lineup certainly is not good news for the Georgia Bulldogs. They're really, really good team-wide. So doesn't guarantee anything.
Hey, man, Mississippi State played Georgia as well over those 4 games as anyone has as far as keeping them close. I like the Bulldogs from Starkville's chances here. Like I said, they're hitting the ball well, pitching it well. It's a repeat, man. You get another shot at a team that's kind of got your number.
And they're going to a place where the ball absolutely flies out of the yard.
Pitching there was awesome, but you had to,
launching pad.
You had to either get it above the bat or keep it below the knees, because even back in the 90s, that place, it would fly out of there.
And then we talked some about Ole Miss earlier in the 6 o'clock hour. What a gutsy couple of performances by Ole Miss in the Lincoln Regional. That was a tough environment. They were super fired up to have Nebraska hosting. Had a great scene, great environment. Ole Miss goes 14 innings to beat Arizona State. That was a good Arizona State team. They outlast Nebraska in a game that stretched across 2 days, and then they come back and. One of the things that stood out in Ole Miss's win yesterday was Will Libbert. Rebels got 5 innings of scoreless relief from a couple of guys in there with Will Libbert and J.P. Robertson. And Will Libbert had been bad this year. The left-handed transfer there's no other way to say it. He had just been bad. He had been getting hit all over the yard. Pitched the best that he had pitched all season long in the biggest moment of the year. And this is an Ole Miss team that's been up and down, right? They were probably 1, maybe 2 wins away from being a regional host and playing in Oxford. Instead, they have to go on the road. And it's a little bit of a tougher road to hoe to get to a point where you are getting that regional win on the road. But now Ole Miss, 2 wins away from a return trip to the College World Series, which means we are a combined 4 wins away from Mississippi State and Ole Miss both getting to the College World Series. How cool would that be? Mike Hurst is going to join us coming up next. He is the head of the Republican Party in Mississippi. We have got a lot to talk about with him. We look forward to that. It's coming up next. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net.
Should we clutch his sweet hands?
Good morning from the Venable Glass.
What is it? What's going on?
Mornings with Richard Cross.
It is what it is.
Yes, it is. Super Talk, Mississippi.
One 879-4395 is the number. The one plan from C Spire is here. Fiber home internet and wireless, only $99 a month for new and current C Spire customers. One plan, one price, one experience, zero compromise. Get started now at cspire.com/one plan. C Spire, customer inspired. I am pleased to welcome our first guest on this Monday morning. Former U.S. Attorney, current chair of the Mississippi GOP, Mike Hurst. Mr. Hurst, counselor, good morning.
Richard, great to be here, man. How are you?
Good to be with you. I woke up early to a text message on Thursday morning from you that said, this has never happened before. I'm spending the night at the airport. Not going to make it in time, but glad you made it back to the Magnolia State, and good to see you.
It was planes, trains, and automobiles last week, so I'm glad to be back home. Dorothy was right. There's no place like home.
Amen to that. I am looking forward to that happening tomorrow as well after an extended stay in College Station, Texas. You were in D.C. and had dinner at the White House, I believe, on Wednesday night, Tuesday or Wednesday of last week.
Yep.
When you have dinner at the White House, do you have choices, or do they just tell you what you're going to eat?
No, we had a preset dinner, which nobody's complaining about, but it was incredible. I mean, just for a guy that grew up in the big city of Hickory, Mississippi, in Newton County, it was surreal. We had dinner in the Rose Garden, right outside the Oval Office. Vice President was there, the President was there. Number of cabinet secretaries, talked with a number of members from the RNC from around the country, and at the end of the dinner, the president actually invited us into the Oval Office. So we got to walk into the Oval Office and talk with the president for a little while. It was, again, something this country boy from Newton County never thought he'd ever be able to do.
Was that your first time, either with dinner at the White House or inside the Oval Office?
It was the first, both. Yes, I've been to the White House many times with Secret Service friends, with other friends, seen the Oval Office from outside the door, but that was, absolutely the first time ever inside the Oval Office and having dinner at the White House. So, it was quite an experience.
Are you overwhelmed with a little bit of kind of a sense of history and just what has happened in that particular room when you step in?
When you're in the moment and you're with the president sucks up all the energy. I mean, you are so focused on him. I mean, he is, what you see on TV is exactly what he is in person. His magnetism, his charm, his passion for our country, his enthusiasm for our country, and he's just, at 79 years old, almost 80 years old, the energy this man has is unbelievable. So it's a great time to be an American. It's a great time to have such a leader as this for our country.
I don't know if you ever go online or not, but you know that people complain about this president a little bit. One of the complaints was the changes that he made to the Rose Garden. You had dinner there. What does that look like in person? Where they have put concrete out there, but it's tables and it's lit, and you've got music and the whole deal. Yeah,
it's so well done, so professional. The media likes to say that he tore out all the roses in the Rose Garden and he just tore up everything. If you actually go in there, all he did was put pavers down where the grass was, and it actually rained a little bit that night while we were there, but he had the umbrellas up, the pavers were down. I can tell you, in speaking to a number of our female committee women at the RNC, they were excited that they were not in mud, that their heels were not getting stuck in the grass, but all the roses are still there, Richard. I mean, it did not change anything except it made it more palatable and more accessible to individuals who come to the White House.
I don't want to belabor the point, but with some of the projects that are going on, you've got the ballroom project, and so that I guess it's the East Wing.
That's correct.
That is kind of a big construction zone right now. You've got the resurfacing that's happening in the reflecting pool on the mall, and then you've got the construction project for America 250 that's happening where they're building the arena out in the lawn of the White House. Does it look wildly different? Is it as awful as much of the world is making it out to be?
Of course not. I mean, the media wants to, anything this president does, the media wants to criticize. It's not nearly what they make it out to be. They just had the reopening of the Christopher Columbus statue and the fountain in front of Union Station there in D.C. Beautifully, beautifully redone, cleaned up. No homeless encampments. It doesn't look like Los Angeles anymore in the front of Union Station, which is one of the most beautiful buildings in Washington, D.C. On the front, on the north side of the White House, they're redoing Lafayette Park, whichever one you want to call it, and that's going to be beautiful, where the statue of Andrew Jackson is. This president has made it his mission not only to make D.C., our nation's capital, more safe, but to once again make it something that Americans are proud to visit. They are proud that other people from around the world are coming to and visiting, and we should. This is just like our state capital here in Mississippi. We should have investments in it. We should have a stake in it, because we as Mississippians want our state capital to be just as good as our nation's capital, because this is the center of life in our state.
You've spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C., and so you know better than most that there is an information cycle there, the inside the Beltway D.C. rumor mill. I'm curious, as you were talking to people, what the buzz is like looking ahead to the midterms. We were talking earlier this morning about how you look up and it's June 1st, and it's like the first 5 months of this year have gone in the blink of an eye. We're going to be to November in the blink of an eye as well. What is the general sense about the GOP's chances in terms of midterm elections with both the House and the Senate?
What I can tell you is a few months ago it was a little negative. Looking at all the predictions and the past history of presidents and their midterms, it did not look good. What I can tell you over the last few weeks and the last month or two, the mood in Washington D.C. from Republicans is very positive. We were able, the RNC, was able to overturn the referendum that they had in Virginia, where the Democrats were trying to take 5 seats away from Republicans and make it a 10-1 state instead of a 6-5 state. We've had a number of, a lot of folks might not know this, but we've had a number of successes in the courtroom. I've recently been elected general counsel of the RNC, and we have approximately 171 lawsuits throughout the country in about 41 states. And we continue to pick off little things that the Democrats are doing. And I think it's really shocking, the Democrats, because we've really never stepped up to this degree, to this level, and challenged them in the judicial system as much as we are now. And we're beginning to get wins, whether it's in North Carolina, where they were trying to allow people who have never stepped foot in the state of North Carolina to be able to vote. We call them never residents, and they were being allowed to vote. Or even out in Arizona, where Arizona had a referendum and they tried to prevent people who are illegal aliens to vote in Arizona, and the Democrats want that, and we've been trying to fight that. So these things across the country has really changed the mood on the conservative side to make it look a lot more exciting, a lot more passionate. And I think at the end of the day, when voters look at both the Democrats' policy and their principles and what their vision is for America versus what we as conservatives believe, I think it's going to turn out the voters come November.
Certainly there is a redistricting conversation that is going on both here in Mississippi and nationally. I want us to get to that in just a second because I think it's a little bit longer conversation. But I go back to I had a visit with Mike Ezell a couple of weeks ago, and I said to him, I said, Mr. Congressman, from the outside looking in, it feels like there's not a lot that's happening right now in D.C., and maybe there won't be a lot that is happening between now and midterm elections. What can you tell us about that? And he said, well, people are right, Richard. He said, we're not getting anything done. He said, we won't get a lot done between now and November. Do you kind of jump on board with that statement, and how frustrating is it to see if you do agree with what the congressman said?
Well, I think what the frustrating part is the Democrats are holding up and stymieing anything that the conservatives are putting forward and trying to pass. A perfect example of that is the Save America Act. It's a simple concept. We want Americans to actually be the ones who are voting for and electing Americans in our nation's system. And all we're asking, all Republicans are asking is, Richard, that you be required to present a form of identification, a photo ID, when you register to vote and when you go in to vote. And we've been pushing that as Republicans for the past year. I know it's passed the House multiple times, and I know Congressman Ezell and Congressman Guest, Congressman Kelly have been huge proponents of that. But what we see time and again is the Democrats trying to obfuscate and stop that in the Senate. And so as long as you have the filibuster there, as long as you have Democrats who are willing to do anything and everything to stop whatever this president is standing for or pushing, then yes, I think we unfortunately will not get much accomplished in Congress.
Mike Hurst is my guest, former U.S. attorney. He is general counsel for the RNC and also chair of the Mississippi Republican Party. We will continue the conversation coming up in just a couple of minutes. Thanks for joining us this morning. Don't forget the C-Spire text line is open. If you have a question for the chairman, you can send that to us on the C-Spire text line at 601-879-4395. We will unpack some of the redistricting conversation on the other side of this timeout. MRC presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Bank local, bank community.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Wake up.
Get going.
Wake up. Come on. All right.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Wake up.
Give me a word, give me
Back with you. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. MRC presented by Community Gift Bank. Mike Hurst is my guest, former United States Attorney. He's chair of the Mississippi Republican Party, and as such is certainly looking forward to later this week, June 4th, Thursday night, the Mississippi Republican Party hosting the 2026 Lincoln Reagan Trump Gala, or Gala, if you prefer. Senator Tommy Tubberville is the keynote speaker, the headliner for the event. No word as to whether or not he will be arriving in a pine box. What can you tell us, Mike, about the Lincoln Reagan Trump Gala that's coming to Mississippi this week?
Yeah, we're excited about it. You know, we've had these fundraisers, statewide fundraisers for the Mississippi Republican Party for years, going back to President Reagan was a speaker at one of them, former presidential candidate Bob Dole, senator from Kansas, a number of dignitaries, but we're excited that Senator Tubberville is coming to Mississippi. You know, he's going to be the next governor of Alabama, and he's going to talk about what he's been doing in the Senate, talk about why the party is important in his state and in our state, and really get our base fired back up to where it needs to be coming in November. We've got our congressional seats up. We got Senator Cindy Smith, our great senator here from the state of Mississippi, up for re-election, and so we just can't be apathetic. We can't be comfortable as Republicans. We got to get out and vote, and I think this will go a long way in making that happen.
His business card is going to have to be front and back going forward, because he's got senator on it. He's soon going to be the governor, we think, of the state of Alabama. Is that even close in terms of the race in Alabama?
No, I think the last time I looked, he won the primary with like 78%. So I think it's pretty much I'm not going to say it's a done deal, but he's working hard, and I think he will be the next governor of Alabama.
And, of course, there was Coach. I don't know if he has completely pushed that away from his title, but
no.
There is a level.
He prefers that. He prefers that title, I think, Richard.
Yeah, a lot of success there in the state of Alabama. It's kind of incredible to have been the coach at one of those two schools. Obviously, he was at Auburn, but how the entire state of Alabama fans included, have rallied around him. Retail politician, I think, might be a good way to describe him. He has the ability to make people feel comfortable, and that goes way back, even to his time when he was at Ole Miss. I remember the coaches shows that he used to do, and his ability to shake hands and kind of make people feel comfortable and important is as good as anybody kind of in a public role that I can remember seeing.
Yeah, and people are just, we want leaders. We want leadership, and someone who's authentic and just connects with people, makes them feel heard, makes them, feel that like the politician is listening to them. And I think Senator Tubberville embodies all that.
Mike, we got a question on the C-Spire text line just a little bit ago, kind of big picture on redistricting, and as something I wanted to talk with you about. Where's that conversation specifically in Mississippi right now? We had the governor on a few weeks back, and he said it's going to happen, and he said Benny Thompson's days are numbered. He said it's a matter of when, not if. But there also has been a level of caution, and the governor said they have been in close communication with the White House. There's a national concern in terms of the net number of gain of seats in the House and what that might look like as it pertains to Mississippi, and how other states might use a blueprint that Mississippi uses to enact, Illinois in particular, I think he was talking about, to try and make changes before midterms as well. So just kind of bring us up to speed from where you think Mississippi is.
Yeah, from a national level, if you look at the numbers of the Republican states that have done redistricting, and even some of the Democratic states that are considering redistricting, we Republicans are about at a 10 to 12 plus on the number of seats we could pick up just through redistricting. We've had a lot of discussion here in Mississippi about this, obviously, a lot of national pundits talking about Mississippi and redistricting. I'm no fan of Benny Thompson, and I've told anyone who will listen it has nothing to do with his race. He could be purple, green, white, whatever. The problem with Benny Thompson is he's a Democrat. He does not reflect our Mississippi values. He has represented Congressional District Number 2 for over 30 years, and sadly the people of CD2 have not progressed. They have not benefited from his representation. And I say representation in air quotes. I know your viewers, your listeners can't see that, but all he has done in the past 30-plus years is enrich and help himself. And he's done nothing for the CD2. So back to redistricting, I think what the governor did is correct. I know we have a lot of people out there chirping that, we need to redistrict now, but if you look at what just happened, which is we just had our March primaries, we just had people voting for their representatives. If we were to move forward redistricting right now, we would obviously get a lawsuit. We, the Republican Party, would have to help and defend that lawsuit. And frankly, Richard, I would much rather spend the donors' money and the people's money that donate to the Mississippi Republican Party educating, recruiting, and training up Republican candidates and electing those Republicans to office rather than spending on legal fees and litigation. So I think what the governor did was right. I think it was measured. I think it was thoughtful. And I think it was the most wise decision, despite the fact that we are completely against what Benny Thompson stands for and what he believes and what he pushes in Congress.
And that's just on the congressional redistricting front. That it's a multi-layered conversation in Mississippi because you've got the Supreme Court redistricting, and I guess commissioners kind of fall into that piece of the pie. But then you've also got legislative redistricting that's got to be addressed in Mississippi. Yeah, both of those are still, the Supreme Court kicked both of those back, or the Fifth Circuit kicked both of those back to the respective district courts here in Mississippi. I think you'll see the legislature take that up. I think I heard Speaker White say that might actually happen before the legislature comes back into session in January, which would be great. I think that's the right way to do it. And I hope our legislators look at those maps holistically, and that just means look at it from a fresh start, a fresh face. Those maps were drawn based upon the pre-Supreme Court decision in Calais, which allowed those maps to be some of those districts drawn based upon race. And as the Supreme Court just said in Calais, that's wrong. We don't allow that in any other part of our society to do things, for the government to do things based upon race, and we shouldn't specifically be allowing the government to draw voting districts based upon race. And I hope the legislature looks at that, from a fresh standpoint, so they redraw all those districts and not just go back to the 2022 or whatever the lines were before. Mike Hurst is my guest, former U.S. attorney and chair of the Mississippi GOP, but also serving as general counsel for the RNC. So you are keeping your finger on the pulse of not just Mississippi politics, but also national politics as well. This question that we got on the C-Spire text line kind of falls in line with that. So with John Paxton beating John Cornyn Ken Paxton beating John Cornyn in the Texas Senate Republican primary, there are people that say that race just got a whole lot more expensive, that John Cornyn had raised a ton of money, that Ken Paxton is going to have a lot of help from the RNC because of the expense of the race in Texas with James Tallarico. How concerning is that to you? Clearly the voters of Texas spoke and who they wanted to represent them as a Republican candidate, but the amount of resources that may have to be redirected to Texas that could have been spent or would have been spent in other races across the country. I'm not concerned, Richard, and here's why. I don't think the tip of the iceberg has been shown as to what James Tallarico believes. And everything that we've been seeing coming out of his mouth, whether it's that, God is non-binary or, advocating trans policies, these things are not what Texans believe in. And I think at the end of the day, despite the bruising primary between Paxton and Cornyn, I think at the end of the day you'll see Republicans in Texas come back together. I think you'll see them marshal their resources, put those together. And frankly, I don't think this will be as close as some past Senate races in Texas, despite what the media wants us to believe that, the Republicans are going to lose Texas. They're going to lose that Senate seat, all because President Trump endorsed Attorney General Ken Paxton. And I just don't believe that's going to be the case. When the voters
voters of Texas see what James Tallarico stands for, what he said in the past, and what he believes, there's no way they're going to send that man to Washington to be their United States Senator representing those liberal, progressive, out-of-touch beliefs.
I agree with you completely on the outcome, but in terms of amplifying that message in a state like Texas where you've got so many big media markets, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and others, it's expensive to get that message out.
No doubt. No doubt. But again, I think at the end of the day, the Republicans in Texas, I know the state chairman out there very well. I know their committee man, committee woman. I think they will bring Texans and Republicans in Texas back together, and they'll be able to spend those resources wisely and get that message out.
Can you hang with me for just a couple of minutes? Let's carry this through the end of the hour.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Mike Hurst, former U.S. Attorney, chair of the Mississippi Republican Party. Got that big gala coming up on Thursday night. It's at the Sheraton Flowood. There's still some ticket options available for that. Is that right?
Absolutely. They're going fast, but check us out at msgop.org.
There you go. We'll wrap up the hour with Mike Hurst coming up next. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank.
Good morning from the back.
In the car, at home, or at work, it's always free to listen to SuperTalk Mississippi and Mornings with Richard Cross.
This hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services, plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. Just a couple more minutes with Mike Hurst, the chair of the GOP in Mississippi. I don't know that it necessarily has an effect on congressional races in Mississippi, but the ongoing conflict with Iran, this perilous or fragile ceasefire that is in place, us being the United States, continuing to have defensive actions in the region as Iran continues to kind of play with the terms of the ceasefire and continue to be an aggressor. Americans, by and large, are not on board with this conflict. I think they're on board with the idea of Iran needs to not be a nuclear state. You need to get rid of the nuclear weapon capability. Don't love the idea of boots on the ground, and I don't think the president does either. But as this continues and lingers deeper and deeper into the summer, and people are paying over $4 a gallon for gas, what's the practical effect that you see on the election and midterm races for Republicans as a result of this?
Yeah, Richard, I think it's no question that President Trump is not a fan of these wars across the world. The problem we have is Iran had progressed, especially under the Biden administration, progressed such that it was very close to nuclear capability. And we've seen reports come out recently that they also have, ballistic capability, which means, if they were able to develop those nuclear weapons, they could actually potentially reach our shores in the United States of America with nuclear weapons. And so, again, nobody wants war. Nobody wants to spend the money on war. We obviously want an America First policy. That's why we voted for this president. But at the end of the day, the number one priority of government should be the safety and security of its people. And President Trump did something, I think, that probably no other president would have done, which is gone in, taken out the head of Iran, and send a message not just to Iran, but to the rest of the world that America is back, that we're not taking any second chances when it comes to the security and the safety of American people. And if you mess with us, we're going to mess with you even harder.
And to me, maybe the greatest miscalculation by Iran in all of this is the firing of missiles and drones at some of their Gulf state neighbors. And it has seemingly opened up the possibility, something that administration officials have kind of talked about, having the Gulf states, including Saudi Arabia, come on board and sign the Abraham Accords. And when we hear about countries signing agreements or accords, sometimes we kind of roll our eyes like, they're going to do whatever they want to. Does that particular pact carry more weight than maybe some other international treaties?
I think it does, and I think this was sadly overlooked to a large degree during the first Trump administration, where they were able to negotiate this agreement between Israel and some of the Arab countries, where they were able to secure peace, and you begin to expand that into the Middle East. This is something presidents, for at least while I've been alive and probably before, have been trying to accomplish in the Middle East, trying to make sure we have peace and we have security, because we have a lot of Americans over there, and it's not just about those who are in those countries, but as those countries, as they continue to develop, like Iran, as they continue to try to develop nuclear capabilities, that again encroaches on the security and the safety of American citizens. So I'm glad to see that they're trying to broaden the Abraham Accords, and I'm trying to see they're trying to make sure Israel is safe. I think that's an important objective of America, and it should continue to be. But at the end of the day, what we have not had in the Biden administration was other countries respecting America. I mean, America, sadly, was on a downfall. We were not being respected. We had lost a lot of our dignity because we had no leadership at the top. And that has changed with President Trump back in office. Again, countries respect us. Whether they want to or not, they have to respect us now, because we have a leader who is leading us into the next century and making sure that our country is safe.
And our relationship with Israel is complicated. There's no doubt they're an ally, one of our most important allies. We work together on so many initiatives, but our objectives and Israel's objectives, particularly Benjamin Netanyahu's objectives, don't always line up exactly. That's a hard relationship to manage, I think.
Well, I mean, it's like I tell people all the time, I love my wife. We've been married almost 30 years now, but we don't always have the same beliefs and ideas. But you can still respectfully.
Hey, be careful here. Yeah. Be careful. Tread lightly.
No, I'm just saying you can still have incredible allies. You can still be in partnership with other countries and not agree with them 100% of the time. I think the UK is a perfect example of that. I think, France, I think Germany is some of the European allies that we have. Yes, absolutely, we are in this to the end, but that doesn't mean that we necessarily agree with them on every single policy objective.
Mike, always appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in studio this morning. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. Appreciate the time of Mike Hurst, the chair of the Republican Party in the state of Mississippi. We've got more coming up with you. We'll take a quick time out. The news is next, both national news and the SuperTalk Mississippi news team as well. We're back after this.
Your home. Stay social during the show at SuperTalk Mississippi on Facebook. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
Funny moment in the post-game press conference last night when Brian O'Connor and a couple of his players were meeting with the media. They finished up the player portion of it, sitting at the table there with their head coach, and Brian Connor said to Jacob Parker, "All right, go be with your teammates." And Jacob Parker goes, "Oh, we are." And O'Connor, in a very deadpan, dry, fatherly head coach tone, goes, "All right, well, we got a lot of baseball still in front of us, so use your head."
Yeah, that's
that's
coach with a little trust right there.
Yeah,
you earned that though,
Lance. You've been part of some of those teams you got a lot to celebrate, and you just got to remember that somebody still needs to be responsible in that situation.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that are 19 and 20 in there too. Yeah, you got to be careful with that.
Yeah,
set a bad example or anything.
Go to one place and stay there and make sure everybody can get safely home.
There you go. We didn't have Uber and all that back in the day, so you had to be real careful.
Yes, indeed. C-Spire text line is open to you, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Why won't any of these politicians just admit that we are at Israel's beck and call and will do whatever they tell us to do? We do all their bidding, and it's absurd. The That's a pretty narrow view, and it's a view that says to me that you've kind of made up your mind about Israel, and nothing that I or anybody else says is going to change your mind on that. We do not do all of the bidding of Israel, and we are not necessarily at their beck and call. It's a relationship and a partnership, and I think at least in part, the thing that people lose sight of is the sharing of information that exists between our CIA and the Mossad, which is Israel's CIA. The Mossad is the most sophisticated intelligence gathering operation in the world. And there are some that probably would push back and say, oh, you're selling the CIA short. Maybe I should say the most ruthless intelligence gathering organization in the world. The truth of the matter is we spy on Israel and Israel spies on us. Israel maybe more so than in reverse order. But that's kind of those are part of the rules of the game. But Israel's intelligence apparatus is important to U.S. national and international security. And I guess there's a debate that you can have whether or not that is enough to offset what we do for Israel. But Israel is a significant and an important partner of the United States. Every bit as important as the relationship that we have with England, and more a partner in geopolitical conflict that we have with the UK, which historically has been our oldest and strongest ally. They are a far more reliable partner than NATO is. So, I don't know if that makes me pro-Israel and a Zionist. I don't really fancy myself that way, but I also look at the relationship with Israel and say it's important. And in a lot of ways, Israel is a check and a balance to the rest of the Middle East. And they play a really important role in that part of the world. Joey the Trucker, I think this is a good point as well. He says, I still say the price of gas and diesel is going to have to come down, or this is going to hurt Republicans. He goes, yes, I want our country to be safe, and yes, they do not need a nuclear weapon. But when it comes to hardworking Americans, hardworking people struggling just to pay for gas and diesel fuel and groceries, it is going to hurt. And you better believe, Joey, you hit the nail on the head that Democrats will make that the biggest issue that they can possibly make it as it relates to the midterms. They are going to paint Donald Trump as a liar, which they do anyway, but specifically a liar about being involved in war. And they are going to say he doesn't care about you, he doesn't care about your pocketbook, he doesn't care about average, everyday, hardworking Americans, and there may be a million things that Donald Trump can point to that prove that he does care about hardworking Americans, and he is putting things in place that help the everyday American, the person that is getting up and going to work and is living paycheck to paycheck. But it's going to be really hard for Republicans to campaign successfully on, yes, we're doing all of these things for working Americans, and we understand what you are dealing with financially when every time you go to the gas pump, it's $4 a gallon. Which means if you've got a $25 gas tank, at minimum, you're spending $100 to fill your tank up. I think I told you last week, the gas tank on my truck is 36 gallons. I had a pump that shut off at $70, and I looked down and it was half full. Whew. Somebody says, sorry, your news is great, but I really want more baseball news this morning. I can assure you. I understand. And as much as I would love to visit with you for 3 hours about baseball this morning, we got to serve a little larger audience than just that. I do think it's top of mind. We spent a lot of time in the 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock hours before our conversation with Mike Hurst on baseball stuff. It was a wild and incredible baseball weekend. Do you watch squeeze play, Lance, at all?
I mean, when I have to. I like it okay. It can be a little bit much. I mean, I was baseballed out yesterday, after watching squeeze play and bouncing around all the games. And I finally was like, I've got to take an hour off. It was like right in the middle of the Ole Miss game. Yeah. Like, I've got to step away for a minute.
Todd Walker and I, we were walking out of the stadium last night. I was like, hey, we've left the ballpark progressively earlier each 3 days. Because it was like 10 after 12 on Friday night. And then it was like midnight on Saturday night. And last night it was like, 11:45 walking to the car. He said, yeah, if we play for 3 more weeks, we'll get out of here in time to be able to eat somewhere before we shut it down for the night.
Well, it was one of those where I think it was Kyle Peterson and his cohort. They were in Nebraska, and they had that long game. And apparently there was a burrito that had been sitting there for like 3 hours. And Peterson kept saying, I don't know how long we're going to go from here, so I don't want to eat this burrito. So they finally, once they went to rain delay, I think he was able to get a hold of a bite there. But, I mean, that's got to be a very – as I was listening to all you guys, it's remarkable to me how good you all are. I mean, you're not covering your team, and you're covering 4 teams. And it is just baseball all day long. It seems like it would be a lot of fun to not have a dog in the race and to be able to be either color or play-by-play for – tournaments such as that where you don't have a team in the game. You can just go enjoy the game and have fun getting to know these kids, the coaches, and highlighting them. And I think y'all do such a great job listening all around. It was just really, really high-quality broadcasting.
I appreciate you saying that. I will tell you that this is the hardest event, hardest assignment I get. Mm-hmm. It gets a little bit easier as the regional goes along, but when they make the announcement on Monday afternoon of these are the teams in the field, and it's a little bit later Monday afternoon, you find out this is where you're going. And then you've got like Tuesday and Wednesday, but Wednesday's a travel day, and then Thursday is interview and practice day. Man, it's like drinking out of a fire hose to try and, you hope that you're familiar with 1 or 2 of the teams, but even being familiar with them is not the same as being prepared to, call 2, 3, 4 of their games over the course of 3 days. So there is a lot of information in a short period of time, and I don't relish anybody's season coming to an end, but when I can take one of my stacks of papers and either set it to the side or drop it in the trash can with a team when a team's eliminated, I'm like, okay, we can breathe a little bit easier now. We're 1 down, but it's really, really fun. It is a cool week. But it's a lot of baseball.
Are you going to have a big crowd there today, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, be a big one.
Yeah. I mean 7,000, 8,000. Yeah. Well, 6,000 or 7,000 probably. That's my guess. Still fighting with Iran. See the developments from yesterday on that. And a concert in our nation's capital potentially canceled because Trump says just cancel it. Some somewhat mainstream stars saying they don't want to perform at America 250. Got that for you next. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable
News, interviews, weather, sports, all right here, all morning long. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross. JT Mitchell will join us in about 15 minutes. We'll talk with him about the news of the weekend and the news of the week as we move forward. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Thank you for spending part of your morning with us. I mentioned before the break that we are still fighting with Iran. Yet this news story that came from yesterday, the United States said that it bombed radar and drone sites in Iran after Tehran shot down an American drone over the weekend. Iran said that it targeted American soldiers in Kuwait with missiles, which the U.S. says that it shot down. So the ceasefire continues to not be a ceasefire, but we're calling it a ceasefire. Its boundaries have been repeatedly tested with the back-and-forth attacks, even as officials from both countries try to negotiate an end to the war. It felt on Friday like we were close. J.D. Vance said as much, but he also quickly put the qualifier on it that I don't know if or when the president will sign off on this. I think, unless I'm making this up, we were told from those reports that passage was happening in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, it's not completely free, open, unobstructed passage, but ships were moving in and out beyond just the shadow fleet of ships that apparently have still been able to operate and get oil out of Iran and sell it on the black market as it has done for many, many years. And China is for that, and Russia is for that. If you think that those countries are not willing to buy oil at a discounted rate when they're losing money hand over fist because of the strait not being completely open, you're crazy. But this AP story says Iran has maintained its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, disrupting global energy supplies and driving up the price of fuel around the world. By the way, maybe Ripley is the place we need to go buy gas. Yeah. We saw Jim and Ripley say gas down to $3.69 from $4.19 this morning. That's in the big city of Ripley.
If it weren't 3 hours from here, I would definitely be taking him up on that.
A year ago, gallon of gas on average in Mississippi was $2.62. And so even at, let's just call it $2.60 and $3.70, that's $1.10 a gallon more. And if it's more like the average of $4.10 a gallon, it's $1.50 a gallon more. Whew. And it's taking its toll. You know, whether you are somebody that only puts, 5 gallons of fuel in your vehicle at a time and just like, well, I'll pay for $20 of gas here and we'll do it again, $20 increments, or you're the person that lets it run to E until the light comes on and then you fill the entire tank up and then you start all over again. It is costing you more. You have less money in your pocket than you did a year ago based on gas. And that's hard.
It is, and we've had a lot of folks that will kind of knee-jerk on that and say, well, I mean, if you want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, then you've got to pay for the gas. Well, a lot of folks that's tough for. That's not easy when you travel for a living and your finances are tight and all that. So it's, I'm sure there's a lot out there that are feeling the pinch, but it's still support.
That falls into two things can be true at once.
Right,
yes,
exactly.
I want Iran not to have a nuclear weapon, but I also want us as a country not to have our gas prices dictated by something that's happening 7,000 miles away.
That's a great point.
U.S. fighter aircraft swiftly responded by eliminating Iranian air defenses, a ground control station, and 2 one-way attack drones that posed clear threats to ships transiting in regional waters. And Kuwait, by the way, says that its air defenses opened fire early on Monday morning to intercept incoming drone and missile fire. I am not giving Iran a pass on this. Not by any stretch of the imagination. It's mind-boggling, honestly. It's like, hey, we are engaging in peace talks, but we're going to keep fighting, kind of. We're going to talk about peace over here, and maybe we're just kicking the can down the road. Maybe we're actually making progress. But I'm going to keep firing missiles. So I say I'm not giving them a pass. Here's what I mean, though. Here's the other side of that. I'm still convinced that it's different entities. That the group with which we are negotiating is not the same group that is firing missiles off at Kuwait and is firing on boats that are in international waters. You've got the whatever the Iranian government is that you're negotiating with, and then you've got the IRGC and the hardliners, the mullahs and the clerics and everything else that exists in that crazy existence. And I think that's the reason that President Trump has shown a great deal of patience through these negotiations.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with like poachers, basically. You know, I mean, it's just what they do, whatever they want. Doesn't matter what the rules may be, but what deals you have kind of in works. Iran and whoever is in charge of the rockets just seems to be, willy nilly, just kind of, hey, we can do whatever we want. And then you're over there trying to negotiate in good faith with folks trying to negotiate in good faith.
Yeah,
makes it extremely complex.
Got some folks telling us that gas is $3.46 a gallon in Laurel this morning.
It dropped 50 cents since yesterday because I put gas in the car. Oh, no.
That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Somebody says, look at the profits from big oil companies. There's no doubt that it's been a good quarter for big oil companies. Dave and Ripley says, if gas is cheaper here, it must be cheaper in New Albany. Ripley is usually higher than New Albany. Indianola checking in at 361. Jackson, Tennessee at 364. Mike in Madison says, we have not hit the energy crisis yet. We're burning through too many strategic reserves to hold off the incoming pain. I think some of the hope is that some of the regulation that has been lifted by the Trump administration gives us the ability to kind of keep up in a way that we haven't been keeping up historically because we've kept so much in reserves.
And you also have had,
maybe.
Yeah, when you've also had the OPEC basket and all of the different baskets of oil pricing over there, Dubai and all those, they've come significantly down, 20-30%. So over time, as those get closer to what we say WTI and Brent are, hopefully you start seeing people in that area of the world using that oil from that area of the world rather than buying the contracts of ours, which creates less supply on paper here. So hopefully as OPEC, the UAE, Oman, all that starts getting back to normal, Dubai, they're still a little high, but so our oil is going to be more marketable, more purchasable.
Yeah.
So once we get back on parity, things will start hopefully getting back normal again.
There is a song that is played on 4th of July, and because of its title, people think that it's a patriotic song. Martina McBride's Independence Day. Not really what that song is about. Not about American freedom. But Martina McBride was one of the performers that was scheduled for the America 250 concert. 4th of July this year, the United States celebrating its 250th birthday. All the pomp and circumstance, big free concert in Washington, D.C. But now all of a sudden you have performers who are going, hold on a second. This wasn't supposed to be a partisan event. I'm sorry. I'm not going to participate anymore. Martina McBride, one of the ones that has stepped away. Well, the president has heard enough of this nonsense. So he went to Truth Social and he said that there shouldn't be any more division over this concert. He said, you know what? There should be a giant Make America Great Again rally for $250. Instead of having overpriced singers who nobody wants to hear, whose music is boring, and yet who do nothing but complain. Cancel it. Just like I canceled my involvement with the failing and unsafe to be in Kennedy Center because a highly conflicted, crooked federal judge said that I should not be allowed to spend my time and money in order to make the center great again, actually far greater than it ever was before. So now the Kennedy Center will collapse both structurally and financially. Judge Cooper, like numerous other crooked judges on my cases, should be impeached. That is quite the weave by Donald Trump to say just cancel the concert.
As the sun rises, he has all the news you need. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, SuperTalk.fm, and the SuperTalk app.
Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. Thanks for being with us, starting your work week with us. And we all feel like we can officially start our new work week once JT Mitchell makes his weekly stop by. JT, the news director with the SuperTalk Mississippi news team. Good morning, my friend.
Hey, Richard. Good job last night.
Thank you.
You received one of the highest compliments you can get in the Mitchell household.
Oh, wow.
My wife, Molly, we were flipping through the channels, watching Ole Miss, watching some college softball, crazy Texas Tech game, by the way. And then we flipped to, was it USC A&M?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, Richard's really good at that.
Oh, that's
and
very
I said,
kind.
Yes, he is, and I'll be on with them at 8:37.
Oh, I appreciate that very much. I will tell you two quick things. I was kind of excited yesterday afternoon. We found out that the game last night was going to be on ESPN. Like big ESPN. And, it's still the flagship. I was like, man, that's really, really cool. Well, then the softball game that was on at the Women's College World Series in front of us went a couple of extra innings, long, high-drama game, and it was like the fifth inning when we finally made it over to ESPN, and the game was completely out of whack.
Yeah, it was
at that point.
blown out, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, that's wonderful. And there was a sign at one point in the game last night that I had seen maybe too much baseball over the course of 3 days. And it just came out, and I corrected it myself. I said a 9-point lead for SC over Texas A&M. And I paused for a second. I said, hold on a second. Let me correct that before anybody else does. No, this is not my first baseball game ever. Yes, I realize we call them runs in baseball, not points, and we just kind of laughed it off. And it was like, whew, a lot of time at the ball yard over the last few days.
It was a long weekend for a lot of regionals. Some continue into today.
Yeah.
Hey,
not for any of our Mississippi teams, though.
No. You talk about the softball game, and I know that you probably couldn't watch it when you're calling your game, but it went to extras. Did you see that the sprinklers started going off in extra innings?
Oh, I did not.
So the grounds crew had them set for after the game, right?
Yeah.
Well, the game went long. They didn't get cut off. And so they had to pause the game to get the sprinklers turned off, and that halted you from being on ESPN quicker.
Yeah. Texas Tech winning over UCLA in that game. Tough day for UCLA sports yesterday. But we digress. What are we watching for as we roll into a new week or look back to the weekend?
Well, I guess I'll start with the PSA. Number one, it's crazy that it's already June. I mean, the first 5 months of this year flew
PSA,
by.
JT's going to ask you to vote at some point in the future.
Not today. I don't think so,
but
at
not
least.
Today. Okay.
But PSA of today is that June means hurricane season. So it snuck up on me. It probably snuck up on a lot of people out there. But hurricane season goes from June 1st until November 30th. And we're very grateful. We've had a few off years. I mean, last year was the first year in a decade that a storm did not hit the U.S. directly. That's great. Now, can we make it two? I'm not going to put my money on that. Back in 2024, you had what was it? Was that Hurricane Francine that made landfall in Louisiana and then kind of crossed through the state as a tropical depression? That's the last mix we've kind of gotten, but that doesn't mean, and whatever predictions you see out there, I know that the NOAA and Colorado State are predicting below normal seasons. I don't care. Throw it out. Get ready. That's exactly what MEMA is saying, so go ahead and get those disaster go kits ready. We have a bullet point list at supertalk.fm of exactly what you should put in those. Have a plan in place. You want to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. But if you have to evacuate, whether you live on the coast or you live in Corinth, just know what to do. Make sure your family's safe, your neighbors are safe, everybody's prepared. Hurricane season is here.
And hopefully it will be a lower activity than normal, but you never know. Even though it technically begins now in June, it really feels like we've gotten to the point where we're not really paying a lot of attention to what's going on off in the Atlantic or way in the Southern Gulf until like mid-late August.
You're right. And I actually was thinking about that this morning when I was compiling the article at supertalk.fm. I was like, it feels like, hurricane season comes around every year. It rides on for a little bit, but then we don't get something huge to cover until August-ish. So I looked it up. Records since 1819 show that documented Mississippi hurricanes hit the most in September. 44 storms since 1819, and then August, 26 storms since 1819. So, yes, you got some time to prepare if you haven't done so already, but I know MEMA's already put out a video this morning asking everybody to just be ready.
The Jackson bribery trial, as it pertains to the former mayor and some other officials involved, wasn't there a deadline for some information that had to come in that has come and gone?
Yeah, we had a big deadline a couple of weeks ago where the judge threw out any motions to dismiss. The trial will move on. But then this past Friday, we had a deadline where the three defendants in question, former Jackson Mayor Chokwe Tarlamumba, sitting Hinds County District Attorney Jody Owens, and former Jackson City Councilman Aaron Banks, had to say whether or not they were going to maintain their current plea. All had pleaded not guilty.
Right.
On Friday, all said, we're still not guilty. And so they will move toward July 13th when trial is set to begin. And this is going to be a high-profile trial. I mean, I think you're going to see the likes of Court TV, Fox News, CNN, some other big national media
and
groups.
JT Mitchell.
And JT Mitchell will be there.
Will you sit in the courtroom for this one?
I'd like to. I would. We will have somebody there, especially if it stays around Jackson or even if it goes to Gulfport. Because right now, the defendants, they want it to stay in Jackson. The feds, they want to move it to Gulfport. We're still waiting to see if that's going to happen. But I have heard from some people, they are already sending out juror questionnaires. They're already trying to get a grasp on what the pool would look like in Jackson. So as of now, at 8:45 a.m. on June 1st, this trial will be in Jackson on July 13th. And it's not going to be short, Richard. I imagine this trial is going to last weeks, if not over a month.
And remind us, JT, the crux of this bribery scandal. Was there a single issue, or is it a series of issues that we're concerned about?
Yeah, the crux of it is the feds got word there was some public corruption in the city of Jackson. And so what they did is they took their time and they put together a long-term investigation where they found something that a lot of people wanted, and that was a convention center hotel to, help with tourism, help with bringing conventions to the capital city. And so these real estate developers from Nashville, they approached all the members of the city council. They approached the district attorney. They approached the mayor, and they said, hey, we want to build this project that you guys want. And we know you got some government money to help us build it. but we need some help here. They started throwing out some bribes here and there to get some deadlines moved, to get some city council votes. Boom. Those real estate developers were not, in fact, real estate developers. They were FBI agents. And so they have what they say to be probably thousands of pages of evidence, hundreds of hours of audio and video of former Jackson.
Wait, is this where the councilwoman got the purses and the shoes?
Yes, it is.
I remember.
Yes. And that throws a wrinkle in it, Richard, because Angelique Lee, and she was kind of on the bottom of the totem pole of this situation. She received something, I want to say it was like $10,000 in cash and a shopping trip to get some golden gooses or whatever purses she ended up with. But she said she was guilty. She reached a plea deal. And so I wonder if she's going to testify against the trio that is still maintaining their innocence, because she said she's guilty. Another local businessman, Sharik Marv Smith, who is said to have, I think he's Jody Owens' cousin. He
Do
pleaded
you think
guilty
she's been offered any
well.
bags or shoes to not testify?
Not by the feds.
No. I was not implying that.
I know. No, I think that because she hasn't been sentenced, I think that her performance will predict her sentencing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big deal.
Let me show you my singing voice.
Yeah, right?
Gonna sing like a canary, or all of a sudden I've got laryngitis and can't get anything out.
And so let me throw out some numbers here, and I don't think they're going to get all of this, but I want to give you some maximum sentences that we got from the Department of Justice. Sitting in Hinds County.
Can you hold that till the other side of the break?
Oh, yeah, sure. They're big numbers. Lots of prison time is up for former Jackson and a current Jackson elected leader.
All right. We'll do that on the other side of the break. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. JT Mitchell from the SuperTalk Mississippi News Team. Keep up with all that's happening in the Magnolia State at supertalk.fm. We'll wrap it up with you next.
Taking a final look at traffic.
You grab your keys. You've got the news that matters. Back to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
Wash away my troubles, wash away my pain, with the rain and shambhala.
Last time with you on this Monday morning. As we said earlier, say it again, appreciate you making us part of your morning routine, spending part of your Monday morning with us, and hope you can find a routine now for the next couple of months until school is back in and things are operating the way they normally do. JT Mitchell's got a routine. He gets up and goes to work every single day, and we were talking about this Jackson bribery trial that is closer, presumably in Jackson, but potentially in Gulfport, and you were going to outline potential penalties for those who have been charged.
And they're pretty big. They're pretty big. Sitting Hinds County District Attorney Jody Owens, who the feds are kind of setting him up to be the ringleader of this situation. That's what they say. And he could face up to 100 years in prison. Former Mayor Chokwe and Tara Lumumba could face up to 75 years in prison. And former Jackson City Councilman Aaron Banks could face up to 15 years. That being said, I did put out a disclaimer before the break. They're not going to get that much, but that's whopping. Those are whopping numbers that the Department of Justice put out there for maximum sentencings.
That's just federal sentencing guidelines on the maximum end.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for example, Jody Owens, he faces 1 count of conspiracy, 5 counts of federal bribery, 1 count of racketeering, 1 count of wire fraud, 1 count of money laundering, and 1 count of false statements.
All right, so those charges have a compounding effect in terms of sentencing, and you add all of them up.
It's 100 years for him.
All of them. Whew. So is the real question, did they actually get money and goods?
That's not the question. My prediction is that their attorneys are going to argue some form of entrapment. That we would not This would not have happened if the feds didn't set us up. We were doing fine and not corrupt before the feds corrupted us. That's going to be some form of the argument. Now, Mayor Lumumba, he, when you read through these indictments, which the ones that were unsealed in November of 24, he was relatively smart about it. I mean, they have transcriptions of the phone conversations that he had. He was mostly one-word answers. You know, I don't know if that means he's been in the game before or not, but he was relatively smart about it. Now, the DA, according to what the feds allege, innocent until proven guilty, he was not smart about it. He was talking about cleaning money, talking about using the dope boys, talking about, what did he say, Africa blood money or something like that? I mean, what the feds showed Jody Owens saying was damning. It was crazy. I've never read an indictment like it. And I've read a bunch of indictments through this job.
Does that fall into the loose lips, sink ships category?
Yeah, and this is according to the indictment, but when Aaron Banks got brought in, and I think that Jody Owens said he needs $15K for him to vote in favor of you. He said, this is paraphrasing, don't give it to him all at once. That's like giving a fifth of whiskey to an alcoholic. That's like giving a pound of weed to a drug addict. You don't give it all at once. Give him a little bit here, and then a little bit there, and then you'll eventually get his vote. That's according to the indictment.
Wow.
It's going to be a high-profile deal, July 13th.
All right. That is on the way. Baseball on the way this weekend as well. We know Mississippi State will continue their season. We know Ole Miss will continue their season. Mississippi State going to be in Athens. Ole Miss to be determined. If Milwaukee can pull off a win today against Auburn, then the Rebels could be at home next weekend. Otherwise, Ole Miss will be on the plains for super regional baseball.
And you and I talked about, how all the super regionals could play out. I would not have predicted that Ole Miss may get the super regional, but nobody else does. It's going to be fun. And one thing that's cool about this, I know that it's probably not cool to State or Ole Miss fans, but it's kind of cool when you go back in history. State had not won a regional since 2021, the last time they went on to win the College World Series. And then Ole Miss, not since 2022, the last time they went on to win the College World Series. So Bulldog and Rebel fans, I know, are probably hoping for a repeat of history.
Yeah, and we talked this morning during the Pearl River Resort Sports Update about another national championship coming to Poplarville. PRCC with the softball championship just a few days ago, and now a baseball national championship, the second in 4 years. Titletown. I love it.
That's exactly right. And then the Belhaven women, the softball team, they made it to the top 4 of the D3 World Series. Lots of good sports.
Yeah. And you had William Carey playing in the World Series, the NAIA World Series out in Idaho. So much good stuff. Congratulations to everyone. JT, always appreciate the time. Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
You too, Richard. Thanks, Lance.
You got it.
Thank you, Lance.
Yes, sir.
Always good to be with you on a Monday morning to start a new week. Let's do this again tomorrow. What do you say?
I'm ready, baby. I'm ready.
All right.
Let's crank it up.
A few other things to do between now and then, but we will be ready to roll with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. Thanks for being with us.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.